Picture this. Two titans. One stage. $6 million on the line. And in the final point, with the world watching, Jannik Sinner unleashes a forehand so pure, so devastating, that even his opponent, Carlos Alcaraz, can only smile through the pain of defeat. This wasn't just a tennis match. This was a passing of the torch. A crowning of a new king. And what happened in that arena in Riyadh changed everything. We thought we knew about the future of tennis, but to understand this moment, to really feel why Sinner's victory at the Six Kings Slam matters so deeply, we need to go back. Back to a small town in the Italian Alps. Back to a boy who never dreamed of tennis glory. Back to the moment when everything changed. Jannik Sinner wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't born into tennis royalty. He didn't grow up on the red clay courts of Monte Carlo or train at some elite academy in Florida. No, Jannik grew up in San Candido, a tiny mountain village in northern Italy, closer to Austria than to Rome, where the population barely breaks 3,000 souls. The air there is thin and cold. The mountains tower over everything. And skiing, not tennis, is the sport that matters. Jannik's parents, Johann and Sigland, ran a small restaurant and a ski lodge. They worked long hours. They understood hard work, discipline, sacrifice. And young Jannik, like most kids in that part of the world, learned to ski almost before he could walk. He was good too. Really good. By the time he was 8 years old, Jannik Sinner was winning national skiing competitions. He was fast, fearless, technically brilliant. Coaches saw potential. Real potential. The kind that could lead to the World Cup circuit, maybe even the Olympics. His future seemed carved in ice and snow, but then something unexpected happened. At a local sports club, someone handed him a tennis racket. Just to try something different during the summer months. Just for fun. And when that ball left his strings for the first time, when he felt the connection between hand and racket and the satisfying pop of a clean hit, something clicked inside him. Tennis became his obsession. His parents noticed. They saw the fire in his eyes when he talked about the sport. They watched him practice for hours, alone, against a wall, perfecting his strokes. And when Jannik was 13 years old, he made a choice that would change everything. He told his parents he wanted to quit skiing. He wanted to pursue tennis. Seriously, imagine being those parents. Your son is excelling at a sport your community understands and values. He has a clear path forward. And now he wants to throw it all away for tennis. In a town where tennis is barely played. Where the nearest serious academy is hours away. But they saw something in him. A determination. A maturity beyond his years. So they said yes. They supported him. And Jannik left home at 13 to train at the Riccardo Piatti Tennis Academy near Bordighera. On the Italian Riviera, hundreds of miles from everything he knew. The early years weren't glamorous. Jannik was quiet. Almost too quiet. While other junior players bragged and posed and chased social media followers, Sinner kept his head down. He trained. He listened. He absorbed everything his coaches taught him. Riccardo Piatti, a legendary coach who had worked with players like Ivan Labuccio and Milos Raonic, saw something special in this red-headed kid from the mountains. Piatti later said that Jannik had an old soul. That he understood suffering. That he knew how to work when no one was watching. Those years in the mountains, those brutal ski training sessions in freezing temperatures, had forged something unbreakable inside him by 2019. At just 18 years old, Jannik won the Next Gen ATP Finals, a tournament designed to showcase the future stars of tennis. People started paying attention, but he was still raw. Still learning. The ATP Tour is unforgiving. It chews up prospects and spits them out. For every young player who makes it, a dozen others fade into obscurity. But Sinner was different. In 2020 and 2021, he started beating top players. He reached his first ATP final. Then he won his first title. His game was built on consistency, precision, and an almost robotic ability to hit the same shot over and over without error. His forehand was a weapon. His return of serve was elite. And his mind, that quiet, calculating mind, never seemed to panic. By 2023, Jannik Sinner was knocking on the door of greatness. He was beating top 10 players regularly. He was reaching the later rounds of Grand Slams, and in January 2024, everything finally came together. At the Australian Open, Sinner won his first Grand Slam title, defeating Daniil Medvedev in an epic comeback from 2 sets down. The boy from San Candido was now a Grand Slam champion. But the story doesn't end there, because standing in the shadow of Sinner's rise was another young superstar, a Spanish sensation who many believed was destined to dominate tennis for the next decade: Carlos Alcaraz. If Jannik Sinner is ice, Carlos Alcaraz is fire. Where Sinner is quiet and methodical, Alcaraz is explosive and emotional. Where Sinner seems to calculate every shot with mathematical precision, Alcaraz plays with raw instinct and breathtaking creativity. They are opposites in nearly every way, and that's what makes their rivalry so electric. Carlos Alcaraz burst onto the scene like a supernova. At 19, he won the US Open in 2022 and became the youngest world number 1 in ATP history. His game was audacious, thrilling, unpredictable. He hit shots that shouldn't be possible. He slid and stretched and leaped like a superhero. Fans adored him. Commentators compared him to Rafael Nadal, his idol and fellow Spaniard. For a while, it seemed like Alcaraz would run away with the sport. He won Wimbledon in 2023, defeating Novak Djokovic in a final that many called one of the greatest matches ever played. He added the French Open in 2024, at just 21 years old. Carlos Alcaraz had 3 Grand Slam titles. Meanwhile, Sinner had 1. The narrative was clear. Alcaraz was the chosen one. Sinner was the challenger, but Sinner didn't see it that way. He didn't care about narratives or media hype. He cared about winning. And throughout 2024, these two young giants kept colliding. They met in semifinals and finals across the tour. Sometimes Alcaraz won. Sometimes Sinner won. The matches were always close, always thrilling, always pushing both players to their absolute limits. Their head-to-head record was nearly even. And tennis fans around the world began to realize something beautiful. We weren't watching one generational talent. We were watching 2. And their rivalry was just beginning. Then came the announcement that changed everything. The Six Kings Slam in October 2024. The tennis world learned about an exhibition event unlike any other. The Six Kings Slam, held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, would feature 6 of the biggest names in tennis, competing for the largest prize money in the history of the sport. The winner would take home $6 million, even reaching the final guaranteed $1.5 million. To put that in perspective, winning Wimbledon, one of the 4 most prestigious tournaments in tennis, pays just over $3 million. This exhibition, this single event, was offering double that amount. The lineup was stacked. Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Daniil Medvedev, and Holger Rune, 3 generations of tennis greatness. The old guard, Djokovic and Nadal, battling father time. The established elite, Medvedev. The rising stars, Rune, and the 2 young kings, Sinner and Alcaraz. Critics immediately questioned the event. Was this sports washing? Was Saudi Arabia trying to buy legitimacy in the tennis world? The debate raged online and in the media. But for the players, the appeal was simple. $6 million. A chance to compete against the best. and global exposure on an unprecedented scale. Sinner and Alcaraz both accepted their invitations. They knew they might face each other. They knew the stakes. But neither could have predicted just how perfect the tournament draw would turn out to be. The format was straightforward. Knockout rounds. Single elimination. Win or go home. Djokovic and Nadal receive byes to the semifinals based on their legendary status. The other four players, Sinner, Alcaraz, Medvedev, and Rune, had to fight through the first round. Jannik Sinner drew Daniil Medvedev in the opening round. Medvedev, the 2021 US Open champion and former world number 1, was still one of the most dangerous players on tour. His serve was massive. His defense was suffocating. But Sinner had beaten him before, including that unforgettable Australian Open comeback earlier in the year. The match was tense. Medvedev came out aggressive, trying to dictate play. But Sinner's consistency proved too much. He absorbed Medvedev's power, redirected it with precision, and broke down the Russian's defenses point by point. Sinner won in straight sets, advancing to the semifinals. On the other side of the bracket, Carlos Alcaraz faced Holger Rune, a talented young Dane known for his fighting spirit. The match was closer than expected. Rune pushed Alcaraz hard, testing his patience and his shot-making. But Alcaraz's class shone through. His drop shots were exquisite. His passing shots left Rune flat-footed. Alcaraz won and advanced to face Rafael Nadal in the semifinals. Meanwhile, Sinner prepared to face Novak Djokovic. The semifinal between Jannik Sinner and Novak. Djokovic was supposed to be a coronation for the Serbian legend. Djokovic, with 24 Grand Slam titles, is widely considered one of the greatest players of all time. He had dominated the sport for over a decade. And even at 37 years old, he remained a force. But something was different now. Djokovic was still brilliant, but he wasn't invincible anymore. And Sinner, quiet, confident Sinner, had beaten him before. In fact, earlier in 2024, Sinner had defeated Djokovic in the Australian Open semifinals on his way to his first Grand Slam title. This match would be another statement from the first point. Sinner played with ice in his veins. He wasn't intimidated. He didn't blink. He hit his forehand with controlled aggression, targeting Djokovic's backhand, refusing to give the champion any free points. Djokovic tried everything. He changed tactics, mixed up his serve, came to the net. But Sinner had an answer for everything. The crowd in Riyadh was electric. They had come to see tennis royalty, and they were watching a changing of the guard happen in real time. Sinner won in straight sets, dismantling Djokovic with clinical efficiency. After the match, Djokovic graciously shook hands and smiled. He knew. The future was here. On the other side, Carlos Alcaraz faced his idol, Rafael Nadal, in what would be one of the most emotional matches of the tournament. Nadal, battling injuries and nearing the end of his career, played with heart and pride. But Alcaraz was too strong, too fast, too good. The Spaniard won, advancing to the final. And after the match, Alcaraz and Nadal embraced at the net. The young lion and the aging legend sharing a moment of mutual respect. The final was set. Jannik Sinner versus Carlos Alcaraz. For $6 million. For bragging rights? For the crown, the atmosphere inside the arena was electric. Fans from around the world had traveled to witness this clash. Two young superstars. Two contrasting styles. One historic prize. The tension was palpable. Sinner walked onto the court with his usual calm demeanor. No fist pumps. No theatrics. Just focus. Alcaraz, in contrast, bounced on his toes, full of energy, feeding off the crowd. Both players knew what this meant. This wasn't just about money. This was about proving who was the best young player in the world. The first set was a masterclass. Sinner served first and held easily. Alcaraz responded with a dominant service game of his own. Back and forth they went, neither giving an inch. Every rally was a battle. Sinner's forehand found sharp angles. Alcaraz's defense turned impossible situations into winning points. The crowd roared after every exchange. At 5-5, Sinner raised his level. He started dictating play more aggressively, stepping inside the baseline, taking time away from Alcaraz. In the 11th game, Sinner earned his first break point of the match. Alcaraz saved it with a brilliant drop shot. But Sinner earned another. And this time, Alcaraz's forehand sailed long. Sinner broke. The crowd erupted, serving for the first set at 6-5. Sinner didn't hesitate. He fired 2 aces, hit 2 unreturnable serves, closed out the set 7-5. One set up, Alcaraz came out firing in the second set. He knew he needed to change something. He started taking more risks, going for bigger shots, trying to disrupt Sinner's rhythm. And it worked. Alcaraz broke Sinner's serve in the third game and consolidated the break with a love hold. The momentum had shifted. Alcaraz was playing with freedom now, painting lines, hitting winners from impossible positions. Sinner, for the first time all match, looked uncomfortable. Alcaraz cruised through the second set, winning it 6-3. We were level. 1 set all. Jannik Sinner dropped his racket and looked up at his box, where his coach and team were on their feet, applauding. He didn't scream. He didn't celebrate wildly. He just smiled. That quiet, understated smile. He had done it. He had beaten Carlos Alcaraz in a final. He had won the Six Kings Slam, and he had earned $6 million. The largest prize in tennis history. Alcaraz walked to the net, gracious in defeat. The two young champions embraced. Alcaraz whispered something in Sinner's ear. Maybe congratulations. Maybe see you next time. The respect between them was genuine. In his post-match interview, Sinner was characteristically humble. Carlos is an incredible champion, he said. Every time we play, I have to be at my absolute best. Today, I played very well, and I'm very happy. But this rivalry is just beginning. We're going to play many more finals. Alcaraz echoed those sentiments. Jannik played amazing today, he said. He deserved to win. I'll learn from this and come back stronger. This is good for tennis. This is good for both of us. The Six Kings Slam final wasn't just a match. It was a statement. The Big Three era Federer, Nadal, Djokovic is ending. And the future of tennis is in the hands of Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. These two will define the next decade of the sport. Their rivalry will fill stadiums, break viewership records, and produce moments that fans will remember forever. They push each other to be better. They bring out the best in each other. And unlike some rivalries that turn bitter and personal, theirs is built on mutual respect. Sinner's victory in Riyadh proved something important. He can beat Alcaraz on the biggest stages. He can handle the pressure. He can deliver when everything is on the line. And with his Australian Open title, and now the Six Kings Slam crown, Sinner has firmly established himself as one of the elite players in the world. But Alcaraz isn't going anywhere. He's still younger. He already has 3 Grand Slams, and his creativity, his shot-making, his ability to do the impossible, makes him the most exciting player to watch in tennis. The next time these two meet, Alcaraz will be ready. And the battle will be even more intense. That's what makes this rivalry so special. It's not one-sided. It's not predictable. It's a genuine clash of titans, and we're all lucky enough to witness it. Years from now, when tennis historians look back at the 2020s, they'll talk about Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz the way we talk about Federer and Nadal. They'll remember the matches, the finals, the moments, and they'll point to the Six Kings Slam as one of the defining chapters in their story. Sinner. The quiet warrior from the Italian Alps who traded skis for a tennis racket and became a champion. Alcaraz, the Spanish prodigy who plays with the fearlessness of youth and the creativity of a genius. Two young men, barely in their 20s, carrying the future of tennis on their shoulders. And they're just getting started. So if you've made it this far, if you've felt the emotion of this journey, drop a like on this video. Subscribe to Luminoir for more deep dives into the moments that define sports and culture. And let us know in the comments, who do you think will win more Grand Slams, Sinner or Alcaraz? The debate is just beginning.